When I started my marketing agency, I was a computer programmer and I didn't know anything about marketing agencies. And we took on some clients, and it made sense to me at the time to not charge them $500 a month or $1,000 a month or whatever people were doing. I didn't know what they were doing. I didn't know what my other marketing agencies were doing. So being ignorant was great. So I was like, it made sense to me, if I'm going to grow a company, then I want to take a percentage of that. I want to take a percentage of that profit. Because if I'm going to grow a company from $5 million to $10 million, the very first client we added $3 million in sales to. Second client we added $10 million in sales in the first year. And I didn't even know a fraction of what I know now. So it's incredible. Maybe luck, I don't know. But I was getting a percentage of that money. It was really, really good money. And I was doing really well. I was basically living at home in my house, didn't have an office, and I was making, 7 figures from a handful of clients because that's what we were doing. And later on, when I found out that other agencies were, charging, $500 a month, whatever, I'm like, that's incredible, it's crazy. And the whole point of this story is that we need to look at things differently. We always need to look at things differently. There was this guy, and he met this lovely young European girl on a vacation, and they ended up getting married. And every year at Christmas, they would go back to her mother's and her mother and father's house back in Europe, and they're preparing the Christmas dinner, and the mother chops off each end of the roast lamb, puts it in the oven, chops off 30% of this roast lamb, puts it in the oven. And the husband's like, just very curious. He's like, what? Thinking to himself, why are they chopping off like all this really good like meat off the roast lamb? So every year 2 comes around, year 3 comes around, does the exact same thing. So one day he works up the courage and he says, why do you chop off like basically 30% of the roast lamb before you put it in the oven? What's that about? And the mother-in-law was like, well, when I was a little girl, we lived in a very, very small apartment. We had a really tiny oven. We couldn't fit anything in there. So my mother had to chop off the ends to fit the roast lamb in the oven. So here she was doing this, even though she had a big oven now, she was still doing the same thing over and over again. And the point of that story is, we can, and we do, we always go back to doing things that don't make a lot of sense because it's habit or because we saw someone else do it. And that's something we have to really focus on. Every single day we need to ask ourselves a couple of questions. Is what I'm doing today the highest and best use of my time? Is what if I'm going to go drive to the office, if I'm going to go walk to my home office, whatever it is what I'm going to do today the highest and best use of my time? And that's something that we either don't ask at all or it's something we don't ask enough. And for me, I don't know if it's driving me insane, but I ask myself that every day. And I always ask myself, am I going in the right direction? Am I doing the right thing? Could I be doing things differently? Could I be doing things better? These are the questions that constantly I'm thinking about all the time. And maybe I am going insane, but I think it's good to keep questioning that. Dr. Goldratt, who's read the book The Goal? I keep banging on about that book. It's incredible. That book changed so much about everything we do. We've acquired a lot of companies in the last 18 months. When I mean acquired, what we usually do is we will acquire about 30-35% of the company, keep the founder and the staff and the management in place, because we don't want to go and run it. We just want to be a part of it. And a lot of these things just make a lot of sense. So if you haven't read The Goal, you definitely should read The Goal, or just look up the theory of constraints. It's going to change everything you do.
The Goal? The Goal.
Goal. Dr. Eli Goldratt. He was the first scientist ever, apparently. Don't know if it's ever. I mean, who knows? According to him, he's been the first scientist to use scientific approach to growing companies. So, I forgot where I was going with that whole story. Yeah, so you can ask yourself this question, Dr. Goldratt. He says, if you are like most people, then you already automatically assume so many things that you're not thinking at all. You know, a lot of the foundational things that we think, oh, well, I can't charge that because the industry doesn't accept that, or I can't do things that way because I can't build a team this way. You know, all these questions, assumptions that we have about even the baseline stuff. You know, we assume so many things automatically that when we start thinking and layering on questions over those assumptions, we're actually asking the wrong questions. Does that mess with your head? Is that crazy? I mean, come on, guys, the earth is flat, right?